The Chu family's biological daughter, Emily Chu, had returned. She stood in the middle of the luxurious villa's living room, exuding an icy aura. Her sharp eyes, as if capable of incinerating everything, sweeping across every corner of the opulent house. Her eyes were bloodshot, her fists clenched tight, her chapped lips pressed into a thin, hard line, as if suppressing a raging inferno of anger and years of accumulated grievances. My mother, no, Emily Chu's biological mother, I should say, also had bloodshot eyes. Tears streamed down her face like a burst dam, unstoppable. Mr. Chu, on the other hand, had a tense expression. His eyes were filled with remorse and sorrow, and he looked as if bound by invisible shackles. My brother? No, my former brother, Ethan Chu, slowly rose. Without a word, he walked to Emily, pulled her into a tight embrace, his broad shoulders trembling slightly. A moment later, Ethan released her, but Emily coldly pushed his hand away. Her tone was rigid, her demeanor distant. That sudden action left Ethan Chu bewildered, unsure of what to do. The heir to the Chu Corporation, a man usually stern and taciturn, now looked like a lost child, flustered and helpless. "Emily, it's mother and father's fault. We let you suffer all these years." Mrs. Chu choked out, sobbing, almost unable to breathe. "I didn't suffer," Emily Chu scoffed, a sneer twisting her lips. "I merely ate leftovers, tended pigs and herded sheep, got beaten a few times every day, was covered in scabs, and if I fell ill and died, no one would have cared." Her voice was cold, her words laced with mockery and resentment. Those eyes, as if wanting to burn down the very place that had once abandoned her. Emily Chu had gone missing at the age of 7. Now she was 20. That year, the entire Chu family had been on a trip when Emily Chu was unexpectedly kidnapped, vanishing without a trace in the desolate mountains. "Emily, Father knows you've suffered so much. All these years I've always searched for you, never giving up. It was so difficult to finally bring you back," Mrs. Chu said, her eyes welling with tears, as she slowly stepped closer to Emily. But Emily Chu suddenly raised a hand and pointed directly at me, a sneer on her lips. "Never gave up? Then what about her? Should I have just died there then? Ah, but of course, now you have a new daughter." Everyone's gaze immediately fell upon me. I sighed softly, an ineffable bitterness swirling in my heart. I grew up in an orphanage. After Mrs. Chu lost her biological daughter, unable to overcome her grief, she was introduced by an acquaintance to the orphanage, where she adopted me. Because I bore some resemblance to Emily Chu, my life within the Chu family had been quite peaceful over the years. Mrs. Chu truly loved me, striving to fulfill my every wish. Mr. Chu, though not overly affectionate, always regarded me as his daughter. As for Ethan Chu, Emily's brother, while he never truly considered me family, he had also never spoken harshly to me. I truly held affection for this family. That's why, when my biological parents found me, I refused to return to them. 2 years prior, my biological parents had found me. That day, dozens of luxury cars, each worth millions, lined up to pick me up. Even a helicopter was on standby, just in case I got stuck in traffic and couldn't make it in time. My parents owned dozens of companies, both domestic and international, telling me I could take over whichever I wished. Even a multinational corporation in Europe was not out of the question. At the time, I was so stunned I couldn't utter a word. But in the end, I chose to stay. I even asked my biological parents not to reveal my identity, solely because I didn't want to disrupt my adoptive parents' lives. I didn't return for 2 reasons. Firstly, it was too sudden, and I wasn't ready. Secondly, I genuinely couldn't bear to leave the family that had raised me all these years. But now, it seemed, leaving was unavoidable. Emily Chu's eyes were filled with resentment, looking at me as if all her suffering was my fault. Mr. and Mrs. Chu were also flustered, unsure of what to do. Ethan Chu frowned and unexpectedly said, "Sarah Lu, go back to school. Finish your university studies." I was currently in my final semester of junior year, usually with hardly any classes left, and rarely attended school. I knew Ethan Chu wanted me to temporarily avoid the storm. My adoptive parents hurriedly chimed in, "Yes, Sarah, you should go back to school first." I nodded silently, turning to go into my room and pack my belongings. Seeing me prepare to leave, Emily Chu grew even more furious. "Go to university? While I was stuck in the mountains, my face cracked and festered, and you gotta go to school. Get out of my house. Never come back for the rest of your life." Her eyes were fiery red, as if about to spit flames, her entire body trembling uncontrollably. My adoptive parents were flustered again, unsure of what to do. Ethan Chu pressed his lips together, remaining silent. I also felt a flicker of discomfort in my heart. But thinking back, Emily Chu truly had suffered too much over the years, so I decided to endure it. After all, I had already decided to leave. "Thank you, mother, father, and brother, for taking care of me all these years." I bowed deeply to my adoptive parents and Ethan Chu, treating it as my farewell. Their faces were etched with regret and heartache. Ethan Chu remained silent, not uttering a single word. "Don't pretend to be pitiful, you abandoned orphan." Emily Chu continued to hurl venomous words. That sentence was like a dagger plunging straight into my heart, making the suppressed anger erupt in an instant. "Emily Chu, remember this clearly. Your suffering is not my fault. I owe you nothing," I retorted, my face cold. Unexpectedly, I dared to talk back. Emily Chu immediately lunged at me, intending to strike. "Shameless wretch, orphan! You stole everything from me!" At this moment, she seemed to go mad. Her face flushed crimson with fury. But due to prolonged malnutrition, she had no strength left. I merely gave a light push, and she tumbled to the ground, crying and wailing, "Mother and father don't want me anymore. No one loves me." That sight was unbearable for my adoptive parents, filling them with agony. They rushed to help Emily Chu up. Ethan Chu, however, frowned as he looked at me. "Sarah Lou, what are you doing? Quickly pack your things and leave. I'll have someone transfer a sum of money to you." With that, he turned away, not looking at me again. My adoptive parents also held Emily Chu tightly, neither of them looking back. A moment later, I finished packing my few simple belongings and left the villa. My adoptive parents and Ethan Chu stood at the door, their gazes complex as they watched me, as if holding 1,000 unspoken words but not knowing where to begin. As for Emily Chu, she clasped her parents' hands tightly, a subtle, triumphant smile curving her lips. I waved goodbye, about to leave, when Emily Chu suddenly rushed over, pointedly leaving Mr. and Mrs. Chu and Ethan Chu behind. I eyed her suspiciously, wondering what scheme she was cooking up this time. Emily Chu leaned in close, a sly smile spreading across her face. "How was my performance? I never expected it to be so easy to drive you away. I thought it would take much longer." Performance? It was only then that I had an epiphany. So all her previous actions were just an act. I had to admit, her cunning was truly extraordinary. I suffered in the mountains for years. If I hadn't learned a few tricks, I would have died long ago. I even used a honey trap to make the couple who bought me turn on each other and kill themselves, haha. Emily Chu burst into laughter, arrogance and smugness radiating from her. I merely shrugged lightly. "Quite clever, but from now on, you won't need to resort to such tricks. Live well, and I wish you happiness." "I don't need your wishes. My parents and brother still have lingering affection for you, so I came here today to warn you. If you dare to contact anyone in my family again, I will show you true ruthlessness," she hissed, her chipped teeth and cracked, parched lips seemingly narrating all the hardships she had endured. I didn't reply, simply turned and walked away, an icy indifference about me. Emily Chu waved goodbye to me from behind, then ran back towards the house. Leaving the villa district, a sudden sense of displacement washed over me. I didn't know where to go next. After a moment of hesitation, I took out my phone and dialed the number saved as Butler Wang. Butler Wang was my biological parents' longtime housekeeper. For the past 2 years, he had secretly visited me a few times, each time earnestly pleading for my return. He said my parents cried every day, missing me terribly, a sight that pained him deeply. The moment he picked up, Butler Wang's voice trembled. "Miss, you're finally coming home?" "Yes, I also don't know where else I could go," I admitted helplessly. Are you still in the Phoenix Villa district? Wait for me, I'll be right there. Half an hour later, more than a dozen luxury cars, all expensive Bentleys, arrived in a stately procession, their imposing aura almost palpable. A few guards at the gate couldn't help but whip out their phones and start snapping pictures frantically. Standing there, I felt utterly mortified. Butler Wang, why such a spectacle? This is far too ostentatious. You think this is too little? Time was short, so this is all I could gather. For a young lady of your stature, this isn't nearly enough. I quickly got into the car, urging him, "Let's go, quickly!" The motorcade quickly rolled away, heading towards an estate located in the city's outskirts. In a first-tier city like this, land in the outskirts was already astronomically expensive, let alone an entire estate, something money alone couldn't necessarily buy. Yet my biological father had prepared everything long ago, just waiting for my return. "Miss, the master and madam are still in Europe on business. I've already informed them. They said they'd cut their trip short to return and see you," Butler Wang said, barely concealing his joy. "For now, let them focus on their work. I'm fine and I don't want to affect my parents' business because of me." Butler Wang was adamant. "Miss, you don't understand. In the master and madam's hearts, nothing is more important than you. We've waited for this day for far too long. When you were little, I even carried you in my arms. These past few years, not a day has gone by when I didn't hope to see you again." As he spoke, his eyes reddened and tears began to fall. I felt a slight stir in my heart and softly said, "Thank you, Butler Wang." "Oh, please, no need." Butler Wang waved his hands dismissively, then excitedly continued, "Now that the miss is back, we absolutely must throw a grand celebration. We'll invite the entire high society of the nation. Oh, and yes, the Chu family, while not exactly a prominent clan, they did raise you, so they should be invited too. And that young master. Ethan Chu, wasn't it?" He rubbed his hands together as he spoke, awaiting confirmation. "Yes, Ethan Chu," I nodded. "How did he treat you, miss?" he pressed. He wasn't often at home and his personality was rather aloof, but overall, he wasn't bad. "That's good. We have a few business projects in the capital. We can bring him in as a partner. Letting him earn a few tens of billions would be a suitable way to repay the Chu family's kindness in raising you." Butler Wang's voice was utterly nonchalant, as if tens of billions were mere pocket change. I considered it for a moment and offered no objection. Upon arriving at the estate, 2 orderly lines of servants stood from the entrance, bowing respectfully to welcome me home. I gazed around, my eyes widening in stunned silence at the entire scene before me. A colossal, magnificent estate, its grandeur no different from a royal palace. I exclaimed in astonishment. "This really is a palace, isn't it?" "Miss, I know you're still adjusting to your new status, so I won't bother you further." Butler Wang helped me settle my things, then presented a small leather pouch. I opened it to look inside. It contained quite a few items. "This is a limited edition black gold dragon card with a 10 million limit for your monthly spending. These are car keys, 7 in total, including a Ferrari, a Bugatti, a Maserati. And this is the Phoenix Group's CEO Diamond Card. It's the largest corporation in the city, and it can verify your identity. Feel free to visit if you have some free time." Butler Wang introduced each item one by one, but there were so many things I couldn't keep up. I quickly interjected, "Please, Butler Wang, no need to list everything. I'll look through them myself later." Only then did he stop his enthusiastic monologue, instructing the maids and housekeepers to take good care of me before he departed. I chose a room to stay in temporarily. It truly felt like living in a palace, and having a line of servants outside, ready to take orders, made me a little unaccustomed. Just then, my phone rang. It was Nora, my best friend and college roommate. She was currently running herself ragged with her internship, and every other day she'd call to complain about her woes. I fully expected this to be another one of those calls, but to my surprise, the moment she picked up, she anxiously blurted out, "Sarah, did you get kicked out of the house?" I was stunned. "How did you know?" "Some girl just joined our group chat. I think our homeroom teacher added her. She claimed to be your younger sister and invited the whole class to her birthday next week. but more importantly, she kept vaguely hinting that you'd been kicked out of the house. My blood immediately boiled. No need to guess. I knew this was Emily Chu's doing. I had already left the Chu family, yet she still had the audacity to slither into my university group just to slander me. I immediately called Ethan Chu. The moment he picked up, his tone was indifferent. "What is it?" "Put Emily Chu on the phone," I gritted out, my heart ablaze with fury. She was interfering with my private life. Soon after, Emily Chu picked up the phone. She even deliberately walked a short distance away, as if afraid others might overhear her. "Sis, what's wrong?" I couldn't help but yell straight into the phone. "What new trick are you trying to pull now?" Emily Chu burst into a fit of laughter. "Sis, I just want to experience your life for a bit, that's all. That life was originally mine, even that university. Do you think I'd easily forgive you? You've enjoyed everything that should have belonged to me, and now you want to wash your hands of it and retreat? No way! The love of our parents, Ethan's concern, all your close friends, I'll take it all back." The more she spoke, the colder and more chilling her voice became. "Are you insane?" I was so furious I couldn't bear it. She had completely twisted into a psychological wreck. "I'm not insane. It's just that just now, Mom and Dad were secretly crying over you. Ethan couldn't bring himself to delete your number, and even the housekeepers were asking when you'd be back for dinner. Do you know how much I hate you? You stole everything from me. I swear, I will never forgive you in this lifetime." I suppressed my anger and replied, "I've told you already. Your suffering has nothing to do with me." I felt both anger and a sense of being wronged. Before, I even sympathized with what she had to endure. But now, she's no longer worthy of pity. Emily Chu let out a few cold laughs, then a moment later reverted to a cheerful, mocking tone. "All right, let's not talk about this anymore. Remember to come to my birthday party, okay? I want to shine, and it wouldn't be fun without you by my side as a backdrop, would it? Oh, and I've already told Dad to freeze all your cards, so don't expect to spend another penny from our family. You don't even need to bring a gift. Your presence is enough." With that, she hung up, leaving me clutching the phone tightly in my hand, trembling with rage. Not only had she made my adoptive father freeze all my cards, but she also planned to use the birthday party to publicly humiliate me. On that day, she would become the dazzling center of attention, while I would just be someone expelled from the house, without even enough money to buy a gift, dirt poor, nothing but a laughingstock. How could I not be furious? She had gone too far, even touching upon my relationships with my university friends. I couldn't let it stand anymore. If she invited me, I'd go. I wanted to see how far she could take her act. I went downstairs and called Madame Grace. She looked to be in her early 40s, with elegant gestures, a dignified demeanor, and a charisma surpassing even that of a university professor. She was indeed the senior housekeeper of the Liu family. "Madame Grace, could you help me choose a formal dress?" I asked. "And a pair of matching high heels. Something simple is fine." I figured, since it was a birthday party after all, I should still dress up a bit. "Yes, miss. Please wait a moment. I will have someone prepare it immediately," she replied respectfully before quickly leaving. I waited for quite a while, but she didn't return. Inside, I started muttering to myself, do rich families really work this slowly? Such a simple task, and it's taking forever. Just then, car engines rumbled outside, and several cars pulled up one after another, entering the estate. Curiosity piqued, I stepped out to take a look, only to see Madame Grace personally greeting them, respectfully inviting the people from the cars to step out. There were over 10 people in total, mostly women, with only 2 men. Each was fashionably dressed, exuding an air of success. As they stepped out of their cars, their hands full of bags, their faces a mix of excitement and anticipation, I stared wide-eyed, completely bewildered by what was happening. "Miss, these are leading experts in various fields, invited here specifically to serve you." Madame Grace led them inside and began the introductions. I hadn't quite recovered my wits yet. Experts for what exactly? "This lady here is a stylist who trained in Europe, having styled many top models both domestically and internationally. Over there are the makeup artists, whose skills are incredibly refined and highly sought after by wealthy madams. And those two gentlemen are renowned hairstylists, booked by numerous popular celebrities. Each person and their respective expertise were meticulously introduced. I was dumbfounded by what I heard. I just wanted to pick out a dress and a pair of shoes. What was with all this grandeur? It was truly bewildering, making me want to laugh and cry at the same time. This was the life of a rich young miss? But since they were already here, it wasn't appropriate to send them away. The items they brought with them were diverse: dresses, shoes, makeup tools, everything imaginable. Well then, everyone, please help me with the styling, but just keep it simple, please, I said, resignedly. Immediately, the entire team sprang into action. Miss, your skin is as white as snow. I suggest a cool-toned dress. Blue, for instance, would really stand out. Miss, your face shape and hairline are perfect for an updo. Shall I try this style first? Miss, these red high heels will greatly flatter your figure and match that formal dress perfectly. I felt like nothing more than a doll, meticulously styled from head to toe. But then again, the feeling wasn't actually too bad. After all, I was the lazy type, and I also suffered from decision paralysis. Just style each outfit as you see fit. Come up with a few options for me, and I'll choose from them. No need to ask me about every single detail. I honestly didn't have the energy to answer every question, so I just let them have full autonomy. 2 hours later, 3 styling options were complete. I tried on each one, changing outfits 3 times, getting 3 different makeup looks, and 3 hairstyles, to the point where even I was stunned looking at myself in the mirror. Looking at my reflection in the mirror, I couldn't help but exclaim, "Is this really me? It's better than turning on a beauty filter." Let's go with these 3 outfits, I decided immediately. Honestly, 1 outfit would have been enough, but what girl can resist the allure of beautiful formal dresses? Yes, miss. We will send the items to you as soon as possible. Some custom-made pieces might take a little longer. Just make sure they arrive before next Monday. Emily Chu's birthday party was on Monday, still 5 days away. Plenty of time to receive the items. During the waiting days, I just wandered around this vast estate, not knowing what to do to stave off boredom. Although the place was magnificent and luxurious, I didn't know anyone here and felt a bit lonely. Fortunately, Nora, my best friend, called frequently to chat. However, most of the time she was just reporting the latest on Emily Chu. "Sarah, I swear, how is your sister such a good actress? She's become the darling of our class group now. The guys all praise her as petite and cute, and she hands out red packets every day, thousands at a time. Who wouldn't fall for that? Even I almost want to surrender for the money." I was actually aware of it. I was still in the group chat, but I kept silent and didn't read many messages. I knew perfectly well that if I so much as uttered a word, everyone would immediately claim my sister and I were having a public spat in the group, and when that happened, I'd still be the one mocked. I joked back to Nora, "Well, then you should just aggressively grab those red envelopes. It's probably less miserable than interning." Nora was indignant on my behalf. "Aren't you angry? She doesn't say anything directly, but she keeps dragging everyone else into badmouthing you. It makes me want to smash my phone," I sighed. "Of course I'm angry. But what good does being angry do? Am I supposed to start a public argument with her for the whole class to see? Just let it go." Hearing me say that, Nora didn't add anything further, and silence, tinged with a hint of helplessness, settled between us. But less than a moment later, Nora unexpectedly sent me a voice message, her voice brimming with shock. "Oh my God, your sister just sent me a friend request." My brows immediately furrowed, a wave of irritation swelling within me. Everyone in class knew Nora was my best friend, so for Emily Chu to suddenly send her a friend request, it was clearly a move to strike at someone close to me. What scheme was she cooking up now? A moment later, Nora continued to report the situation. She asked me what you liked, what your daily life was like, and even if you liked Lucas Liu. Lucas Liu was the hottest star right now, excellent at both singing and acting. 6 months ago, I'd become a die-hard fan, my bedroom plastered with his posters. A ripple of suspicion began to spread through me. What was Emily Chu asking all these things for? Nora then continued. She said that after finding out about him, she's started to like Lucas Liu too, and she's even planning to invite the classmates who like him to his concert next month. She asked me to tally up how many people want to go. Hearing this, I instantly felt my blood boil. I wasn't even sure why, but Emily Chu's actions simply filled me with utter disgust. Was she seriously trying to snatch away even the idol I liked? I didn't want to hear another word. I let out a cold huff. She wants to book out Lucas Liu's entire concert? How marvelous! Remember to put my name down. There's no way I'm missing that show. Lucas Liu was my only idol. No matter what, I had to be there for that performance. With that, I hung up, not bothering to care further, and headed upstairs to the gym to work out. Sweat poured off me, leaving me feeling entirely refreshed. As dusk fell, I hummed a tune while heading for a shower. Just then, Butler Wang suddenly appeared, his face bearing a mysterious expression. I asked what was wrong, and he pulled me onto the balcony, pointing towards the road outside the manor. "Young miss," he urged, "look there." I squinted, looking closely. Under the streetlights, a red supercar was parked. A man wearing sunglasses and a hat stepped out of the car. He stood there, his gaze fixed in my direction. Though his face wasn't clear, the aura he exuded was so captivating I couldn't tear my eyes away. More importantly, he felt incredibly familiar. I turned to Butler Wang. "Who is that?" I asked. Butler Wang hastily explained, "That's your elder brother, young miss." "Ah, I mean the Liu family's adoptive son. He's still your elder brother. Please don't misunderstand. The old master and madam had no ulterior motives in adopting him. In truth, he's the son of the old master's old comrade in arms. Before he passed away, that friend asked the old master to look after his child." Only then did I truly understand. That man was the Liu family's fake young master, while I was the true young miss. But I didn't dwell on it much, simply replying casually, "It's fine." Butler Wang continued, "Your elder brother's name is Lucas Liu, and he's currently a singer." The moment I heard the name Lucas Liu, my heart felt like it was squeezed tight. I whipped my head back to stare at the man. That overwhelming sense of familiarity washed over me, leaving me utterly frozen. I gasped in stunned realization. Oh my God, I can't believe the fake young master is actually my idol, Lucas Liu. While I was still reeling from this whirlwind of chaotic emotions, I saw Lucas Liu get back into his car and drive away. Butler Wang let out a soft sigh. Young Master Lucas Liu wasn't sure how to face you, so he asked me to convey his greetings. He also said that if you don't accept him, he'll leave the Liu family. I immediately replied, "Of course I accept him. I'm not Emily Chu to be so petty. Besides, he's my idol. Tell him not to worry about anything and to focus on preparing for next month's concert." I watched the taillights of Lucas Liu's car disappear into the evening glow, my heart still fluttering with excitement. Hearing my words, Butler Wang let out a visible sigh of relief. It was clear he was very fond of Lucas Liu and had genuinely feared conflict between us. Butler Wang smiled. "I'll convey your message to him. When the old master and madam return, young Master Lucas Liu will also attend your welcome back party. You two will officially meet then." After meeting Lucas Liu, I was cheerful for the next few days. When the 3 custom-made gowns I'd ordered arrived, my excitement only intensified. And so, I savored the feeling of being the victor right up until Monday morning, Emily Chu's birthday. Early that morning, Emily Chu called me on Ethan Chu's phone, her voice dripping with artificial warmth. "Sister Sarah, have you left yet? Do you still remember the way to my villa? I'm waiting for you to come to the party." Of course, I understood perfectly why she was so eagerly awaiting my arrival. For her, today's birthday party was a public declaration of ownership, meant for all eyes. She wanted to declare herself the rightful returnee to the Chu family, and more importantly, use this occasion to smear my reputation, making my university friends laugh at me and look down on me. I even suspected she had secretly bought over a few classmates, just waiting for the party to begin to orchestrate a public humiliation. After all, those red envelopes she'd handed out earlier hadn't been given for nothing. I asked indifferently, "I'm about to leave. Have all your classmates arrived yet?" Emily Chu immediately replied, her voice brimming with feigned enthusiasm. "They're here. They're all here. The whole class has come. The house is full of handsome guys and beautiful girls. The atmosphere is buzzing. It makes me so nostalgic for university life." Her words reeked of sarcasm. She was mocking me for having attended university while she'd been crushed in the wilderness. Unwilling to waste another word on her, I ended the call and immediately turned to summon the housekeepers to help me dress and get my makeup done. The housekeepers here were incredibly skilled. Professional stylists had already designed the hairstyles and makeup styles for each gown beforehand, so they only needed to follow the precise templates. While I could have easily called the professional stylists back again for my makeup, I decided against it, finding it too bothersome. I had prepared myself, and though I wasn't aiming to captivate countless admirers, I was certainly striking enough to make anyone who saw me do a double take. Madame Grace personally arranged for a female chauffeur for me. She asked, "Young miss, which car would you like to take today?" I casually replied, "A Lamborghini." Not long after, a sleek, stunning Lamborghini glided up to the gate. Just as I was about to step into the car, Butler Wang hurriedly ran over. "Young miss, I've finalized the contract and consulted with the master and madam. They've both agreed. Please take a look. If there are no issues, I'll seal it for approval immediately." I was a little taken aback. "What contract?" Butler Wang explained. "It's the cooperation agreement between our Phoenix Group and Ethan Chu's company. I mentioned it the other day to let him earn dozens of billions as a gesture of repayment to the Chu family for having raised you." It was only then that I recalled the matter. Since my parents had already approved, and I wouldn't understand it anyway, I simply nodded. "If my parents have approved, then I won't review it. Please proceed, Butler Wang." Butler Wang nodded, clutching the stack of contracts as he departed. I got into the car, and it drove straight to the Phoenix Villa estate. Seeing the familiar gates of the estate, I couldn't help but feel a pang of emotion. This place used to be my home. The Lamborghini turned directly in, stopping right in front of Emily Chu's villa. As soon as I looked, I saw a crowd of classmates, most of them gathered in the yard, barbecuing. Their loud laughter and chatter echoed, and the atmosphere was incredibly lively. Inside the villa, dazzling lights illuminated the rooms, balloons covered the ceiling, and the floor was strewn with red roses. Maids bustled about, each beaming with smiles. The moment the Lamborghini appeared, it drew all eyes. After all, this model of car was simply too conspicuous. My classmates chattered excitedly. "Oh my God, a Lamborghini! That's incredible!" "Truly worthy of a young miss from the Rose Villa estate." My adoptive parents and Emily Chu also stepped out of the house. My adoptive parents were clearly surprised, while Emily Chu's eyes were glued to the car, as if trying to pierce through the tinted windows to see who was inside. Beside her were 3 girls and 2 boys, all my classmates, her usual followers who would chime in and support her antics. I had no doubt these individuals had been pre-assigned roles. They would surely coordinate to put me down later. I calmly opened the car door and stepped out. The moment my feet touched the ground, the entire atmosphere seemed to fall silent before erupting moments later. My adoptive parents' eyes went wide with disbelief. Emily Chu's face stiffened, the smile vanishing from her lips. As for her 5 lackeys, their mouths gaped, staring at me as if they'd just seen an alien. "Oh my God, Sarah!" Nora, holding a skewer, pushed through the crowd and excitedly rushed over to hug me tightly. Then she reached out to touch the Lamborghini, exclaiming nonstop, "Oh my God, this is truly amazing. Let me sit inside. Let me take a few pictures." She was her usual vibrant, noisy self, the kind that made you both adore and feel exasperated. The atmosphere in the villa, which had been somewhat awkward, gradually eased thanks to Nora's cheerful demeanor. Classmates came forward one by one to greet me. A girl from a prominent family approached, smiling. "Sarah, you're here. Oh my, you look stunning today. All high-end brands, right? At least tens of millions worth." Phew. Just moments ago, she had only been focused on the car. Now she finally noticed my outfit. Others also began to chime in with compliments. "Like a superstar, impossibly beautiful. You look just like Dilraba Dilmurat." Sarah, I've been pursuing you for 3 years. I'd even planned to win you over with my sincerity, but seeing you now, I give up. You're too far out of my league. Who styled your outfit? It's absolutely perfect, every single detail. I had always been popular with my classmates, and even though Emily Chu had pulled countless tricks and managed to recruit a few minions, at this moment, I was the center of attention at the entire party. All the schemes she had prepared had clearly fallen flat. My adoptive parents also approached, their eyes filled with a mix of complexity and bewilderment. Just as I was about to speak, Emily Chu suddenly flashed a sweet smile, quickly taking my hand. Her voice rang with feigned enthusiasm. Sister Sarah, you've saved up quite a lot of money, haven't you? That outfit and car must have cost a fortune. Let me cover it for you, all right? Her words sounded caring, but everyone could clearly feel the provocation. I calmly replied, "Not particularly." Emily Chu immediately gave a knowing smile. "I knew it. You've worked too hard. Our family isn't short on money. If you like supercars, just tell me and I'll buy them for you. Don't bother with such struggles on your own from now on." Her tone sounded light-hearted, but anyone perceptive understood. The Chu family could afford a Lamborghini, but they certainly wouldn't be willing to spend that much money. I only smiled faintly, offering no reply. Seeing my lack of reaction, Emily Chu secretly glanced and signaled to her lackeys standing beside her, but the 5 of them only exchanged glances. No one dared to speak up. Emily Chu was so furious she gnashed her teeth internally, but she forced herself to suppress her anger, pulling my hand and leading me into the villa. She pointed at the posters plastered all over the living room walls, smiling sweetly. "Sister Sarah, look! I've covered the living room with Lucas Liu's posters. Now, I know you're absolutely obsessed with him. Next month, I'm going to his concert. I'll get an autograph for you, okay? You've liked him for so long, you probably haven't even gotten a single autograph, have you?" I was truly speechless. She plastered my idol's posters all over the room to show her admiration. It was clearly an intentional provocation. I calmly replied, "No need. I have as many of Lucas Liu's autographs as I could possibly want. Now, they don't even feel fresh anymore." Emily Chu's expression immediately changed, her brows furrowed. After meticulously preparing for so long, she had expected to pull off a perfect face slap against me in front of our classmates today. Who knew her grand performance hadn't even truly begun, yet the curtain was already threatening to fall? She stood beside me, her petite and slender figure, her evening gown, though expensive, looked utterly commonplace next to mine. Forcing a strained smile, she uttered a loaded remark. "Sister Sarah is truly quite the personality." Without waiting for my reaction, she turned to my adoptive parents and asked, "Mom, Dad, where's Big Brother? Didn't he go to buy me a present? Why isn't he back yet? He's not stuck in traffic, is he?" My adoptive father looked outside and replied offhandedly, "He probably got held up somewhere on the way." Emily Chu then turned back to me, continuing to feign innocence. "Sister Sarah, when you first came to our family, did Big Brother give you a gift? What was it?" I honestly didn't remember clearly. Who could possibly remember things from childhood? I replied offhand, "I haven't paid attention to it in a long time. I probably threw it in some corner of my bedroom." She immediately fished an old, tarnished silver bracelet from her bag, clearly dented and blackened. "Is this it? My brother gave it to you back then. But honestly, he didn't even want you to come live with us. Mom and Dad forced him to accept you, then made him buy you a gift. He was so annoyed, he just walked into a jewelry store and bought the cheapest thing he could find, barely $300K. Immediately, a female classmate standing nearby chimed in. "Well, of course she's not your biological sister. She's just an adopted kid from the orphanage, so having any bracelet is good enough," another classmate added. "I always thought Sarah Liu was a genuine rich young lady, but who knew she was just an orphan? And speaking of that, she didn't buy her way into the student council president position back then, did she?" The atmosphere instantly fell silent, suffocating, awkward, and incredibly uncomfortable. I almost burst out laughing from sheer anger. Is that all she's got? Was her psychological attack really that weak? Emily Chu pretended to raise a hand to stop them, her mouth still uttering virtuous words. All right. That's enough, everyone. Even though Sarah is adopted, I've always considered her my real sister. Just then, Ethan Chu returned. His car almost crashed into my Lamborghini. Emily's eyes immediately lit up. She shot me a triumphant glance, then puffed out her chest and stepped forward, like an arrogant princess going to receive her tribute. From her expression, I was certain she was already picturing herself showing off her expensive gift in front of everyone to regain face. Everyone else was also curious, craning their necks to see what the gift was. But to everyone's surprise, Ethan Chu walked into the yard empty-handed. Emily's expression immediately stiffened. She asked, "Brother, where's my gift?" Ethan Chu replied calmly, "Emily, please entertain your friends first. I need to take Dad to the company for a bit. I'll probably be back a little late." With that, he pulled my father's arm, intending to leave. Emily panicked. "Brother, didn't you buy me a gift?" Ethan Chu paused, his voice slightly rushed. "My vice president just called. There's an extremely important piece of news regarding a major business deal. I can't reveal it yet. It's a business secret." My father seemed hesitant, turning to look at Emily with wavering uncertainty. I understood immediately. It was 80% certain to be the cooperation deal Butler Wang had arranged, definitely that multi-billion contract. I quickly interjected, "Dad, you should go with Ethan. Company matters are important. I'll stay with little sister to celebrate her birthday." Finally, Dad nodded and followed Ethan Chu. Emily Chu stood motionless in the yard, her face pale as death, her entire body rigid as if about to explode, just like a cornered wolf driven to madness. And from the moment Dad and Ethan left, the party's atmosphere completely deflated. My adoptive mother tried to force a smile, gently patting Emily's shoulder before telling everyone, "Please, everyone, don't be shy. Eat and drink to your heart's content and have fun." I could tell. Outwardly, she was still smiling, but inwardly, she must have been just as upset. Emily's meticulously planned party not only failed to humiliate me, but instead made her look ridiculous. After this, the relationship between Emily and me would undoubtedly become even more strained. Not wanting the atmosphere to become too awkward, I proactively pulled Nora along, chatting and laughing cheerfully to help maintain the birthday party's atmosphere. But at some point, Emily Chu had vanished. My adoptive mother found me, saying nothing, only shedding silent tears. I gently patted her shoulder. "It's all right, Mom. I don't mind." My adoptive mother choked out a tiny, "I'm sorry," before silently turning and heading upstairs. When the party ended, I prepared to return to the manor. Nora insisted on coming along. I didn't agree, but I did let her sit in the Lamborghini for a few laps to satisfy her before chasing her home. Arriving back at the manor, Butler Wang was already waiting at the gate. As soon as he saw me, he beamed, "It's done! We've signed the cooperation agreement with Chu Corporation. It's estimated they'll earn at least 20 billion this year." 20 billion. For the Chu family, that's truly an enormous sum. I nodded happily. "That's good," Butler Wang then cautioned. "Miss, we haven't told Ethan Chu about your true identity yet. It would be better if you announced it yourself when the master and madam return to host the party." I nodded, thinking to myself, when that time comes, I'll reveal my identity as the Liu family's esteemed daughter. I'll invite my adoptive parents and former brother to the party and introduce them to high society. With that backing, they'll undoubtedly be elevated, and their future prospects will be much smoother. After seeing Butler Wang off, I was exhausted. I went upstairs for a shower, intending to go to bed early. The moment I lay down, my phone rang. It was still Ethan Chu's number because Emily Chu still refused to add or save my number. I answered the call and immediately heard her sarcastic voice from the other end of the line. "Sarah Liu, you must be so happy today, huh? Feeling victorious, aren't you? I'm nothing but a clown in your eyes, aren't I?" I replied bluntly, without an ounce of politeness. "That's right." Emily Chu burst into an insane cackle. "Ha, ha, ha! Do you really think I'm a joke? Do you know why my dad and brother rushed back to the company? 20 billion. Did you hear that clearly? They signed a huge contract and they'll earn 20 billion this year." Her voice was filled with agitation, almost frantic with excitement. I curled my lips. And then? You're so stupid. Why would you even ask? Before, our entire family's assets combined weren't even $1 billion, and now one contract is bringing in $20 billion. My brother said it himself, this is a leap in social class. Every word she uttered was brimming with smugness. Do you know what my brother is going to get me? Go on. He said, once the first payment clears, he's going to buy me a supercar. Buy, not rent, mind you. He's buying it for me outright. No wonder she was so agitated. She truly had the air of a nouveau riche young lady now. I gave a faint smile. Congratulations. Emily Chu froze for a few seconds. She was clearly waiting for me to be jealous, furious, or react with some bitterness, but my composure completely choked her up. Sarah Lou, it seems you fundamentally don't understand what a leap in social class means, do you? Well, of course, Dad and brother wouldn't have told you. Then she lowered her voice, seemingly ready to unleash her ultimate move. Let me tell you, the partner who signed the contract with our family is none other than the Liu family's Phoenix Group. My brother said this is a top-tier corporation, so rich you can't even imagine. Her tone was full of pride, as if she herself were the Liu family's esteemed daughter. Inwardly, I merely shook my head slightly, not bothering to react, but she only grew more fervent. This isn't just about signing the contract. My family actually got invited to Miss Liu's party. They'll send out proper invitations, you know? This is our gateway into high society, the door to the truly elite. I finally couldn't help but chuckle. You may not be well-read, but you're surprisingly knowledgeable about these things, aren't you? It's just a shame I have no need to understand them. It's enough if Dad and brother understand. This time at the Liu family party, I'll see if I can snag myself a rich heir. Just thinking about it makes me giddy. She was clearly trying to provoke me, but I only found it amusing. Sister, you know, all of this was originally yours. If only I hadn't come back. I didn't bother to respond, merely remarking indifferently, Respect. Good luck. Seeing that I wasn't provoked, Emily didn't press the matter further. I guessed she was probably sprawled out somewhere, dreaming of being gifted a supercar. Me? I was perfectly content. It's true, isn't it? Once you have money, all worries just seem to melt away. There's nothing wrong with living like a happy pig. 3 days later, my biological parents returned. The entire estate instantly bustled with activity, all the housekeepers rushing out to greet them. Butler Wang stood downstairs, his voice carrying clearly. Quickly inform the young miss. The master and madam have arrived. In truth, I already knew. There was no need for a report. With such a commotion, who wouldn't hear it? Still, my heart felt a little flustered. I clumsily changed into a fresh outfit before slowly making my way downstairs. The moment I reached the bottom, my parents had already stepped inside. I'd imagined the reunion would be as tear-jerking as a movie scene, but to my surprise, my heart felt strangely hollow, which only made me more awkward. On the contrary, my parents immediately burst into tears. My mother was especially moved, her tears smudging the elaborate makeup of a distinguished lady. She rushed to embrace me, clutching me tightly as she choked out my name. Sarah! Oh, Sarah! My father didn't embrace me, instead quietly bowing his head to wipe away tears. His tall, imposing figure, which usually exuded an intimidating sternness, now seemed strangely gentle, his eyes filled with such tenderness, completely devoid of their usual awe-inspiring presence. At first, I hadn't felt much of a stir within my heart, but seeing my mother clinging to me, sobbing uncontrollably, and then witnessing my father, that stoic, resilient man, secretly wiping away his own tears, for some reason, my nose stung, and tears just welled up and spilled over. After all, blood runs thicker than water. The bond between kin can never truly be severed. I cried even harder than when I first met them 2 years ago. Perhaps back then, I still harbored lingering feelings for the Chu family, but now, the profound bond of blood had shattered every defense within my heart. As I wiped away my tears, I dimly noticed Butler Wang standing behind us, stealthily wiping his own eyes. And by the doorway, a tall, silent figure stood, Lucas Liu. He didn't come in, merely stood outside, his gaze fixed on me. By the time I had calmed down and turned to look, he was already gone. My parents, completely unaware of his presence, simply held my hands, asking me a million questions, while instructing the housekeepers to bring in gift after gift. These were all luxury items whose brands I'd never even heard of, each one glittering as if it had stepped straight out of a museum. Any single piece could undoubtedly fetch an astronomical sum. I didn't stand on ceremony. These were my parents' gifts, and of course I accepted them all. After this reunion, the entire estate was suffused with a jubilant atmosphere. My parents quickly issued directives. A lavish gala was to be held to celebrate my return, and, at the same time, officially announce the existence of the young miss of the Liu family to high society. Butler Wang worked tirelessly from dawn till dusk, as invitations were dispatched across the entire country. Feeling a little nervous, I slyly pulled him aside and whispered, "Butler Wang, who exactly are we inviting? I'm afraid I might inadvertently make a faux pas on the day itself." Butler Wang chuckled, responding gently, "From Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, billionaires both prominent and lesser known, names from the Forbes list, figures from the political and business circles, practically everyone. We're expecting well over 100 guests. They're all people you've only ever seen on TV." Hearing that, I broke out in a cold sweat. This was a massive undertaking. I couldn't afford to make a single mistake. I had to prepare meticulously, absolutely ensuring I wouldn't embarrass myself in front of such an esteemed crowd. So, I hurried to find my biological mother, telling her I wanted to learn a bit more about etiquette. From how to walk to dining posture, everything had to be impeccable. My mother laughed at my earnestness, gently patting my head. "You watch too many movies, my dear. There's no need to be so constrained. Just be yourself. In high society, most people already know each other. No one pays attention to such minute details." On second thought, she had a point. Trying too hard might make me appear unnatural. I was the Liu family's heiress, after all. With innate grace, everything would naturally exude elegance. What was the need to put on an act? The party arrived faster than I'd anticipated. Such was the efficiency of the wealthy. In just 5 days, everything was perfectly in place. The guests, too, faced no difficulties. I even heard some had chartered private jets to arrive in time. The estate was unusually lively. Guests from all corners of the country converged, each impeccably dressed, chatting and laughing merrily. Some strolled through the gardens, others leisurely admired the scenery from the pavilions, while still others clinked glasses boisterously within the villa. People were everywhere. In fact, even when I excused myself to the restroom, I could accidentally bump into a famous magnate from Shanghai. As dusk settled, the gala was about to begin, and guests began to file into the grand ballroom. My mother led me around, greeting acquaintances and acclimatizing me to the bustling crowd, so I wouldn't feel nervous later when I had to go on stage. To be honest, I was a little tense, so following my mother felt like drawing strength from her presence. The young miss of the Liu family truly is a fairy descended to the mortal realm. She must have strayed into the mundane world these past few years. An elderly gentleman remarked with a laugh, causing everyone around to burst into laughter. I quickly and modestly thanked them. "So beautiful, someone is surely about to come knocking to ask for your hand in marriage," a distinguished lady added playfully. "Exactly. Just look at all the young men here today, who isn't stealing glances at the young miss." In fact, it was only after she said that I truly noticed. There were indeed quite a few handsome young men in the hall, subtly directing their gazes my way. Each one was from a prominent background, either the scions of magnates or influential figures in the financial world, people I would never normally have the chance to interact with. Being stared at so intently made me feel a little shy, so I quickly found an excuse to slip into the restroom, exhaling a long, soft breath. Just then, a small ripple of excited shouts erupted outside. "Oh my God, is that Lucas Liu? Is it really him? It's him, the young master of the Liu family, and a top-tier superstar to boot." It was the sound of several young girls, utterly thrilled. But don't misunderstand. These weren't ordinary fangirls. They were all young ladies from prominent families, typically unconcerned with the entertainment industry. But Lucas Liu was different. He wasn't just a celebrity. He was also the young master of the Liu family. This dual identity was enough to earn him the unreserved admiration of the entire gathering. Curiosity piqued, I stepped out and saw those girls quickly surrounding Lucas Liu, but he moved with agile steps, expertly evading them all. I couldn't help but chuckle. Truly my idol, his demeanor so unique. Today was finally the day for our official meeting. If he was too shy to initiate, I'd take the lead. I quickly made my way to the main hall. There, Butler Wang and a few housekeepers were greeting guests, with a scattering of arrivals steadily making their way in. Lucas Liu checked his watch, standing by the entrance, seemingly ensuring all guests had arrived. Just as I was about to approach, Emily Chu appeared. She wore a long white gown, nearly sweeping the floor, escorted in by her adoptive parents, Mr. and Mrs. Chu and Ethan Chu. Her parents looked incredibly tense, their backs slightly hunched, while Emily Chu, in contrast, chin raised, radiating delight, like a peacock proudly displaying its tail. Admittedly, she was pretty, petite, fair-skinned, with an innocent aura. But alas, this was my party, the official debutante of the Liu family, a gathering of young ladies from the most esteemed families across the nation. Here, she was merely a supporting character. Within a cast of supporting characters, Lucas Liu stepped forward to greet them, a gentle smile always on his face. Mr. and Mrs. Chu and Ethan Chu hastily nodded in return, looking extremely respectful. Only Emily Chu looked as if she'd been struck by lightning, her eyes wide with astonishment. "You're Lucas Liu?" "Yes, I am Lucas Liu," he replied calmly. Emily Chu immediately became flustered, her eyes sparkling as if filled with stars. "I'm Emily Chu, and I'm your fan. I was invited to the party today, and I never expected to meet you here. Are you a guest too?" Lucas Liu smiled. "I am part of the Liu family." This statement struck all three of them like lightning once more. Mr. and Mrs. Chu and Ethan Chu hastily reached out to shake his hand, their attitude becoming even more deferential. Emily Chu, however, made no attempt to hide her admiration, actively reaching out to shake his hand, her gaze so utterly captivated that it made even me, standing nearby, shiver. Truly brazen. Lucas Liu subtly furrowed his brow, gently withdrew his hand, and politely said, "Please come inside. Someone will escort you to your table. I'll go check if there are any more guests yet to arrive." With that, he departed, leaving Emily Chu regretfully watching his retreating back. She walked inside with her adoptive parents and brother and bumped right into me. I didn't try to avoid her. After all, I wanted to greet Mr. and Mrs. Chu and Ethan Chu, but the moment our eyes met, Emily Chu shrieked, "Chu Ding Ding, why are you here?" She looked as if she'd seen a ghost, her shrill voice making nearby guests turn with expressions of annoyance. Mr. and Mrs. Chu immediately bowed apologetically, pulling her closer to me. Emily Chu glared at me, not even waiting for me to speak, before blurting out something that stunned me. "I know what this is. You're using our family's name, aren't you? You lied to Lucas Liu that you're also a member of the Chu family? Have you no shame?" In her eyes, this was clearly the only possible explanation. I looked at her coolly, my voice calm. "I am the young lady of the Liu family, Sarah Liu." The moment I finished speaking, she immediately burst into maniacal laughter, while Mr. and Mrs. Chu and Ethan Chu exchanged wide-eyed glances, their faces etched with disbelief. I calmly continued, "Father, Mother, Ethan, let me show you to your seats. The invitation cards specify the table numbers." Emily Chu suddenly seemed to realize something, bursting into a mocking laugh. "Oh, so you're here as a server? Is that it? Seeing how simply you're dressed, it actually suits you quite well." At that moment, I hadn't changed into my formal gown yet. I was only wearing a minimalist outfit. But this minimalist attire was worth tens of millions of dong. A pity Emily Chu had no eye for such class. I frowned and spoke. "Emily Chu, I don't wish to argue with you. Silence yourself. Tonight is very important for Father, Mother, and Ethan. Thanks to my help, they've finally achieved their dream of class ascension." she sneered, her eyes openly contemptuous. "You be silent, then. You came here as a server. Isn't it just to get close to Lucas Liu? It's laughable. Lucas Liu is a top-tier star, a scion of a prominent family. Someone like me is worthy of approaching him. You, on the other hand, should go wash dishes." Her arrogant tone was utterly nauseating. Just then, Madame Grace arrived to call me to change into my formal gown. I turned and instructed, "Please escort them to their seats. They are my relatives. Don't let them feel out of place." Madame Grace nodded and quickly departed. Behind me, Emily Chu's disdainful voice still echoed, like a mosquito buzzing in my ear. I entered my private dressing room, where a dozen housekeepers were already waiting. My mother was also there, waving me over as soon as she saw me. "Sarah, come quickly and get changed. We have to go on stage with Father and me soon." With professional assistance, I changed into my gown, had my hair styled, and my makeup done. In just an hour, I was completely transformed, so beautiful I barely recognized myself. I was even more beautiful than with a filter. My mother took my hand, smiling and praising me endlessly. "My daughter is so beautiful. Lucas also said you're very pretty, and he's quite picky, you know." I paused. "Lucas Liu? He said that?" "Yes, he's already met you. He's just shy and doesn't quite know how to face you. He's very sensitive and keeps worrying you'll blame him." I chuckled. So the fake young master was self-aware, perhaps even a bit too self-aware. But I didn't forget to joke. "He's handsome too, and he sings well." My mother narrowed her eyes, smiling meaningfully, her gaze suggesting some mischievous plot. Stepping out of the dressing room, my father, impeccably dressed in a suit, was already waiting. I stepped forward to greet him, just as I heard Butler Wang begin his speech in the main hall, officially opening the banquet and welcoming the distinguished guests. Then, Butler Wang invited the Liu family, father, mother, the young master, and the young lady, to step onto the main stage. It was then that I truly saw Lucas Liu. He hurried towards the stage, his eyes quickly glancing over me, then hastily looking away. My parents led Lucas Liu and me as we strode onto the stage. Below the stage, hundreds of eyes followed our every move, all belonging to influential figures from high society across the nation. If not for my parents and Lucas Liu by my side, I surely would have trembled so much I couldn't stand steady. Although I had prepared myself mentally beforehand, that moment still made me so nervous I could only manage a stiff, forced smile. Suddenly, Lucas Liu took my hand. He didn't look at me, only gently led me into the dazzling light. In that very moment, a weight lifted from my heart, and the smile on my lips became much more natural. My father took the microphone and began his speech, thanking all the guests for their presence. The hall fell silent, everyone listening intently. I subtly glanced down and immediately saw my adoptive parents, Ethan Chu and even Emily Chu, seated in the front row. From the moment I stepped onto the stage, Emily Chu had been frozen like a statue. My parents had arranged for them to sit in the front row, which showed their sincere gratitude to the family that had raised me. Otherwise, with their status, they had no reason to be invited to such a prestigious position. I gave them a faint smile. They, however, continued to stare at me, their eyes wide with terror, as if unable to believe what was unfolding before them. Emily Chu stammered incoherently, rubbing her eyes repeatedly, her face twitching, her entire body trembling as if struck by a fever. I looked at her, and she continuously shook her head, her mouth agape, opening and closing ceaselessly. I guessed she was saying that familiar phrase, "No, it can't be." It was then that my father smiled, his voice thick with emotion as he introduced, "This is my biological daughter, Sarah Liu. After so many years lost, she has finally returned to our family." As soon as the words left his lips, my father's eyes welled up again. This should have been a moment of pure joy, yet tears still streamed down his face. Below, thunderous applause erupted. My adoptive parents and Ethan Chu also stood up and clapped, their faces filled with a mix of astonishment and bewilderment. My father looked towards them and sincerely continued, "On this occasion, I wish to thank some cherished friends. They are my daughter's adoptive parents and brother. Thank you for caring for San-san during her years away from home." He nodded to my adoptive parents, and that small gesture alone sent a ripple of excitement through the entire hall. This was my father giving them a golden opportunity. From now on, everyone in high society would remember their faces. Their business dealings and social connections would surely enjoy smooth sailing. I felt incredibly happy. My father truly understood my heart perfectly, doing what I had always wanted to do, repaying those who had nurtured me. My adoptive parents and Ethan Chu were so moved they stood rooted to the spot, bowing repeatedly in thanks, ceaselessly acknowledging those around them. Emily Chu, however, completely crumbled. Her last glimmer of hope vanished into thin air. "No, it can't be! Absolutely impossible! Chu Din, you!" Emily Chu also shot to her feet, as if losing her mind, pointing at me and screaming hysterically. The entire hall was stunned. My parents' expressions immediately darkened. Lucas Liu subtly frowned, gesturing to Madame Grace behind him. My adoptive parents and Ethan Chu panicked, rushing to restrain her, but she continued to shriek, her face contorted with resentment and despair, as if she had completely lost her sanity. I took the initiative to step down from the stage and personally escorted Mr. and Mrs. Chu, Ethan Chu, and Emily Chu out. After a fit of screaming, Emily Chu finally collapsed from sheer rage. Ethan Chu had no choice but to carry her out of the hall in a state of utter confusion. On stage, Lucas Liu acted quickly, telling a witty anecdote that skillfully diffused the tense atmosphere. The hall gradually settled back down, and the party officially began. I went outside with my adoptive parents and Ethan Chu. Their heads were bowed low, filled with remorse. "Din, we're so sorry. We made you lose face." Saying this, they even moved as if to kneel to beg for my forgiveness. Ethan Chu stood beside them, his face flustered. "Miss Liu, I'm truly sorry. That 20 billion contract, I'm sure it was thanks to your help. Thank you." I gently shook my head, glanced at the unconscious Emily Chu, who was still clenching her teeth, and said coldly, "Take her to the hospital and find the best psychiatrist to treat her. I won't appear before her again after this." Their eyes welled up with tears, and Ethan Chu's eyes were red-rimmed too. "Don't cry. It's not like we're saying a final farewell. When the opportunity arises, I'll secretly visit you all." I stepped forward and gently embraced all three of them. They all nodded, too moved to speak. And so, we parted ways. Half a month later, I was riding my horse within the grounds of our family estate in the capital when Butler Wang rushed over. "Miss, Young Master's concert tonight starts at 7. Are you going?" I asked. "Can I bring a friend?" As I spoke, I dismounted, and a nearby housekeeper immediately led the horse back to the stable. Butler Wang smiled brightly. "Of course! You can bring as many people as you like." I immediately called Nora. She had found her ideal job, a monthly salary of 100,000, working 1 day and resting 3, spending her entire day at the office drinking tea, watching movies, rarely lifting a finger. As soon as she picked up, Nora excitedly shrieked, "Darling, I'm seriously awesome. My boss just praised me for doing well, and I don't even know what I did." I chuckled. "You being awesome is right, but don't forget who helped you get hired as the Feng Shui mascot at Phoenix Group. It was this Miss Liu." "Such confidence," Nora laughed. "So why did you call me?" I said. "Remember when you tallied Lucas Liu's fans in class last time? Get ready, we're going to the concert tonight. I'm covering the tickets." Nora suddenly seemed to remember something and gasped. "Oh, right. What about Emily Chu? Where is she? Didn't she say she'd take us to the concert?" I gave a faint smile and didn't reply. Emily Chu was still receiving treatment at the hospital. Her mental state was gradually stabilizing, but she was temporarily unable to face the outside world. I just patted Nora's shoulder. "Don't worry about her. Quickly call up those fans you tallied before. We're going to see Lucas Liu perform tonight." At 7 in the evening, I led a group of people to the stadium. Our seats were in the front row VIP section, less than half a meter from Lucas Liu, close enough to reach out and touch him. Nora and the others were almost stunned, whispering to each other nonstop, "Oh my God, how did you get tickets for this spot? Tickets are being resold for over 30 million now." I just smiled faintly, offering no further explanation. Honestly, I wasn't even sure if I'd see him today. For the past 2 weeks, he'd been busy, deliberately avoiding me. I had no other choice but to come here and corner him. The stage lights abruptly dimmed, a surge of music filled the air, and dazzling spotlights swept across the stands. Lucas Liu stepped onto the stage. His tall figure and the aura around him made the entire stadium erupt in excitement. Cheers echoed to the heavens, and countless people cried tears of emotion. Nora was screaming her lungs out as if she'd lose her vocal cords. I stood motionless amidst the crowd, my gaze fixed on Lucas Liu, unblinking. The moment he looked down at the audience, his eyes met mine. Both of us froze. The atmosphere suddenly settled. The stage lights softened and the music grew gentler. Lucas Liu stood on stage, looking at me for a long time, then brought the microphone to his lips and gently said, "Hello, little sister." Just a short sentence, but the entire hall seemed to hold its breath. I gently stood up, looked at him, and smiled, replying, "Hello, big brother." In that 1 second of silence, the entire world seemed to stand still. The very next second, the entire hall exploded. Tens of thousands of people roared and cheered, the applause threatening to tear through the dome. And I, standing there amidst the sea of people, the spotlights converged on me, seeing only my brother's dazzling figure under the stage lights, held but one thought in my heart. Finally, we were truly family.